One of these days I'll remember every time. Share screen because it's a long 3 chapters today. So we need to get right into it. Here we go. Pretty wild stuff. Roald Dahl, in his imagination, is pretty amazing in this story. Chapter 18. Of course, you know they've all escaped the hillside and now they are somewhere else. So let me let Graham in here. Here we go. Chapter 18 of James and the Giant Peach. A minute later, they were out in the open, standing on the very top of the peach, near the stem, blinking their eyes in the strong sunlight and peering nervously around. What happened? Where are we? But this is impossible. Unbelievable. Terrible. I told you we were bobbing up and down, the ladybug said. We're in the middle of the sea. And indeed they were. A strong current and a high wind had carried the peach so quickly away from the shore that already the land was out of sight. All around them lay the vast black ocean, deep and hungry. Little waves were bibbling against the sides of the peach. But how did it happen? Where are the fields? Where are the woods? Where is England? Nobody, not even James, could understand how in the world a thing like this could have come about. Ladies and gentlemen, the old green grasshopper said, trying very hard to keep the fear and disappointment out of his voice, I am afraid we find ourselves in a rather awkward situation. Awkward? My dear old grasshopper, we're finished. Every one of us about to perish. I may be blind, you know, but that much I can see quite clearly. Off with my boots. I cannot swim with my boots on. I can't swim at all, nor can I, nor I. None of us 3 girls can swim in a single stroke. But you won't have to swim. We're floating beautifully, and sooner or later a ship is bound to come along and pick us up. They all stared at him in amazement. Are you quite sure that we are not sinking? The ladybug asked. Of course I'm sure. Go and look for yourselves. They all ran over to the side of the peach and peered down at the water. The boy is quite right. We are floating beautifully. Now we must all sit down and keep perfectly calm. Everything will be all right in the end. What absolute nonsense. Nothing is ever all right in the end, and well, you know it. Poor earthworm, the ladybug said, whispering in James' ear. He loves to make everything into a disaster. He hates to be happy. He's only happy when he is gloomy. Now, isn't that odd? But then I suppose just being an earthworm is enough to make a person pretty gloomy. Don't you agree? If this peach isn't gonna go sinking, and if we're not gonna be drowned, then every one of us is gonna starve to death instead. Do you realize that we haven't had a thing to eat since yesterday morning? By golly, he's right. For once, the earthworm is right. Of course I'm right, and we're not likely to find anything around here either. We shall get thinner and thinner and thirstier, and we shall die a slow and grisly death from starvation. I am dying already. I'm slowly shriveling up for want of food. Personally, I would rather drown. Oh, good heavens, you must be blind, said James. You know very well I'm blind. There's no need to rub it in. Oh, I didn't mean that. I'm sorry, but can't you see that? See? How can I see if I'm blind? James took a deep, slow breath. Can't you realize that we have enough food here to last us for weeks and weeks? Where? Where? Why, the peach, of course. Our whole ship is made of food. Jumpin' Josephat! We never thought of that. My dear James, said the old green grasshopper, laying a front leg affectionately on James' shoulder, I don't know what we'd do without you. You are so clever. Ladies and gentlemen, we are saved again. We most certainly are not. You must be crazy. You can't eat the ship. It's the only thing that's keeping us up. We shall starve if we don't. And we shall drown if we do. Oh dear, oh dear. Now we're off, worse off than before. Couldn't we just eat a little bit of it? I'm so dreadfully hungry. You can eat all you want, James answered. It would take us weeks and weeks to make any sort of dent in this enormous peach. Surely you can see that. Good heavens, he's right again. It would take weeks and weeks. Of course it would. But let's not go making a lot of holes all over the deck. I think we'd better simply scoop it out of the tunnel over there, the one that we've just come by. An excellent idea. What are you looking so worried about, Earthworm? What's the problem? The problem is, well, the problem is, there is no problem. Everyone burst out laughing. Cheer up, Earthworm, come and eat. And they all went over to the tunnel entrance and began scooping out great chunks of juicy, golden colored peach flesh. Oh, marvelous, delicious, just fabulous. Oh my, what a heavenly taste. She looked up at James and she smiled, and James smiled back at her. They sat down on the deck together, both of them chewing away happily. You know, James, up until this moment, I've never in my life tasted anything except those tiny little green flies that live on rose bushes. They have a perfectly delightful flavor, but this peach is even better. Isn't it glorious? Miss Spider said, coming over to join them. Personally, I had always thought that a big, juicy, caught in the web blue bottle fly was the finest dinner in the world until I tasted this. What a flavor! It's terrific. There's nothing like it. There's never been. And I should know because I personally have tasted all the finest foods in the world. Whereupon the centipede, with his mouth full of peach and with juice running down all over his chin, suddenly burst into song. Now, today, in your creative writing, you're going to be looking back over this poem for rhymes. So please pay attention because he loves to do rhymes. I've eaten many strange and scrumptious dishes in my time, like jelly gnats and dandyprats and earwigs cooked in slime. And mice with rice are really nice with roasted in their prime, but don't forget to sprinkle them with just a pinch of grime. I've eaten fresh mug burgers by the greatest cooks there are, and scrambled dregs and stink bugs' eggs and hornets stewed in tar, and pails of snails and lizards' tails and beetles by the jar. A beetle is improved by just a splash of vinegar. I often boil sausages, the grand ones served beside, and strudel and curried slugs. And have you ever tried mosquitoes' toes and wampish roes, most delicately fried? The only trouble is they disagree with my inside. I'm mad for crispy wasp things on a piece of buttered toast, and pickled spines of porcupines, and then a gorgeous roast of dragon's flesh, well hung not fresh. It costs a price on most, and comes to you in barrels if you order it by post. I crave the tasty tentacles of octopi for tea. I like hot dogs. I love hot frogs, and surely you'll agree. A plate of soya with engine's oil is super recipe. I hardly need to mention that it's practically free. For dinner on my birthday, shall I tell you what I chose? Hot noodles made from poodles on a slice of garden hose, and rather smelly jelly made of armadillo's toes. The jelly is delicious, but you have to hold your nose. Now comes, the centipede declared, the burden of my speech. These foods are rare beyond compare. Some are quite out of reach, but there's no doubt I'd go without a million plates of each for one small mite, a tiny bite of this fantastic peach. Everybody was feeling happy now. The sun was shining brightly out of a soft blue sky, and the day was calm. The giant peach, with the sunlight glinting on its side, was like a massive golden ball sailing upon a silver sea. Chapter 19. Look, cried the centipede just as they were finishing their meal. Look at that funny, thin, black thing gliding through the water over there. They all swung around to look. There are two of them. There are lots of them. What are they? Asked the earthworm. They must be some kind of fish. Perhaps they have come along to say hello. They're sharks. I'll bet you anything you like that they're sharks and they have come along to eat us up. What absolute rot, the centipede said, but his voice seemed suddenly to have become a little shaky, and he wasn't laughing. I'm positive they're sharks. I just know they are sharks. And so in actual fact did everybody else, but they were too frightened to admit it. There was a short silence. They all peered anxiously. Somehow Maceo got cut out there. Sometimes this screen pops down because people are trying to get back in, so I apologize for that. There was a short silence. They all peered down anxiously at the sharks who were cruising slowly round and round the peach, just assuming that they are sharks. There still can't possibly any danger if we stay up here. But even as he spoke, one of those thin black fins suddenly changed directions and came cutting swiftly through the water right up to the side of the peach itself. The shark paused and stared up at the company with small, evil eyes. Go away, you filthy beast! Slowly, almost lazily, the shark opened his mouth, which was big enough to have swallowed a perambulator, which is a baby cart, and made a lunge at the peach. They all watched, aghast. And now, as though a signal from their leader, all the other sharks came swimming in towards the peach, and they clustered around it and began to attack it furiously. There must have been 20 or 30 of them at least, all pushing and fighting and lashing their tails and churning the water into froth. Panic and pandemonium broke out immediately on top of the peach. Oh, we're finished now. They will eat up the whole peach, and there'll be nothing left for us to stand on, and they'll start on us. She's right. We're lost forever. Oh, I don't want to be eaten, but they will take me first of all because I'm so fat and juicy, and I have no bones. There's the sharks. There they all are. Is there nothing we can do? Surely you can think of a way out of this, James. Suddenly they were all looking at James. Think, James, think. Come on, James. There must be something we can do. Their eyes waited upon him, tense, anxious, pathetically hopeful. Chapter 20. Well, there is something I believe we might try. I'm not saying it'll work. Tell us quick. We'll try anything you say, but hurry. Be quiet and let the boy speak. Go on, James. They all moved a little closer to him. There was a longish pause. Go on. And all the time while they were waiting, they could hear the sharks threshing around in the water below them. It was enough to make anyone frantic. Come on, James. I'm afraid it's no good at all, James murmured, shaking his head. I'm terribly sorry. I forgot. We don't have any string. We'd need hundreds of yards of string to make this work. What sort of string? Oh, any sort, just so long as it's strong. But my dear boy, that's exactly what we do have. We've got all you want. How? Where? The silkworm. Didn't you ever notice the silkworm? She's still downstairs. She never moves. She just lies there sleeping all day long. But we can easily wake her up and make her spin. Oh, what about me, may I ask? I can spin just as well as any silkworm. What's more, I can spin patterns. Can you make it up between you? As much as you want, and quickly? Of course. And would it be strong? The strongest there is. It's as thick as your finger. But why? What are you going to do? I'm going to lift this peach clear out of the water. You're mad. It's our only chance. The boy's crazy. He's joking. Go on, James. How are you going to do it? Skyhooks, I suppose. Seagulls. The place is full of them. Look up there. They all looked, tipped up, and saw a great mass of seagulls wheeling around in the sky. I'm going to take a long silk string and I'm going to loop one end of it around a seagull's neck, and then I'm going to tie the other end to the stem of the peach. He pointed to the peach stem, which was standing up like a short, thick mast in the middle of the deck. Then I'm going to get another seagull and do the same thing. Then another and another. Ridiculous, absurd, poppycock, polderdash, madness. And the old green grasshopper said, how can a few seagulls lift an enormous thing like this up into the air, and all of us as well? It would take hundreds, thousands. There's no shortage of seagulls. Look for yourself. We'll probably need 400, 500, 600, or even 1,000. I don't know. I shall simply go on hooking them to the stem until we have enough to lift us. They'll be bound to lift us up in the end. It's like balloons. You give someone enough balloons to hold, really enough, then up he goes. And a seagull has far more lifting power than a balloon. If only we have the time to do it. If only we are not sunk first by those awful sharks. You're absolutely off with your head. How on earth do you suppose to get a loop of string around a seagull's neck? I suppose you're going to fly up there and catch it? The boy's naughty. Let him finish. Go on, James. How would you do it? With bait? Bait? What sort of bait? With a worm, of course. Seagulls love worms. Didn't you know that? And luckily for us, we have here the biggest, fattest, pinkest, juiciest earthworm in the world. You can stop right there. That's quite enough. Go on. The seagulls have spotted him. That's why there are so many of them circling around. But they daren't come down to while the rest of us are standing here. So this is what... Stop. I won't have it. I refuse. Be quiet. Mind your own business. I like that. My dear earthworm, you're going to be eaten anyway, so what difference does it make whether it's sharks or seagulls? I won't do it. Why don't we hear what the plan is first? I don't give a hoot what the plan is. I'm not going to be pecked to death by a bunch of seagulls. You will be a martyr. I shall respect you for the rest of my life. So will I, and your name will be in all the newspapers. Earthworm gives life to save friends. But he won't have to give his life, James told them. Now listen to me. This is what we'll do. Chapter 21. Welcome back, everybody. I am now going to ask those people that are going to be sharing, and Haley, then Keon. I'm going to call on Haley first. So where did Haley go? There she is. Haley, you ready? What you got for us?
I got a lot better at math and stuff.
Okay, how have you been getting better in math?
I've been studying some.
You've been doing what?
My grandma was helping me and my friend Bella get better at math.
Oh, excellent. All right, Haley, is that it? Haley, is that it? Okay. Let's go on to Keon. Where's Keon? Is Keon still here? Yeah, there he is. Keon, what you got for us?
I made a poem.
All righty, let's hear it.
Soon, soon, I'm going to the moon. Soon, soon, I'll get there soon. If you want to take a trip, climb aboard my rocket ship. Soon, soon, I'm going to the moon.
Zoom, zoom to the moon. Thank you very much, Keon. And I expect to hear more poems from you. That was really good. And in poetry, whenever you recite poetry, the really hip, cool thing to do is to snap your fingers like this. So everybody snap your fingers for Keon. Snappity, snap, 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 snap. All right, let's see. For Tuesday, yesterday. Graham, is Graham here? Graham, do you have something to share? Oops. Where did that, what? Okay. Something happened to my, oh, man. Okay. This is crazy. I have something that came up with, there you go. You know how Microsoft pops things up on your window when you don't ask for it? That's what just happened. So sorry about that. Who did I say was going to be next? Graham. Let's find Graham here. Graham, you got something to share?
Not yet. But I am.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you were due yesterday, so you got to get something to share. Okay. Let's see. Looking down at my list here. Is Zach here? Zach, do you have something to share? Zachary, do you have something to share with the group? Zach.
So now
Zach, do you have something to share? All right, well, this has been assigned. I signed this on Monday, and I gave everybody a time in their private channel, and I was very specific about what day you would have to share something. And all you have to do is share some of your work with the class. That's not asking much, but I do expect it to be done, okay? Let's see, Wednesday, Kyla, let's move on to Kyla. Kyla, do you have something to share? Kyla.
I wrote a poem, but I have to go to Teams to get to it.
Well, do you have it any other way? Because if you have it as a file, you can share it as a file, and it'll come up as a screen on the screen if you click on share screen.
I might, but I don't think I do.
All right, I'm going to mute you and remind you again that everyone is expected to share here. Is Josiah here? There he is. Josiah, do you have something to share? Where's Josiah?
Yes.
All right, what you got for us?
I have a poem and I know I saved it, so I'm just looking for it now. I can't find it, but I'll read it.
Yeah, you can just read it like Keon did.
Yeah. Okay. The first one is Bird Dance. bird dance. The dancing birds gather for the weekly dance. They slap their wings together as if in a happy trace. They find their partners, their groups of twos, and each week do the same dance. The bird dance. The bird dance. Oh shoot. Just came up. Okay.
Is that it?
No, I'm still going.
Is there more to it?
Some birds, yes. Some birds identify, other, others don't. And although the dance was meant to be one for socializing, some birds don't. Some birds don't notice other birds dancing around them. And for the dance, they give no appreciation. Like something they just had to do with no importance at all. One bird would never see another bird would never see a different kind of bird, or birds won't see each other. But there is always the wish in the bird's heart to get to dance with every bird before their life is gone. And finally so it happened. Another bird had saw another bird, but they weren't able to slap their wings together for a while because they weren't partners yet. But for every gathering, they saw each other. Till the birds grew hopeless of dancing as partners. Each slowly stopped going to the gathering and never got a chance to dance with each other. That's my first poem.
All right, Josiah, let's all do the snap-a-rooney. Good job. That was a nice long poem.
And then I have another one.
Hey, Josiah, we are running out of time, and you shared a nice long one. So if you want to share it again, I will give you time sometime later in this week, okay? But we have to go over our agenda. So let's look at the agenda. I'm going to